What is up, folks? Welcome back to another episode here where we're going to be absolutely killing it as the nation of Austria. And in this episode, we're going to be focusing, of course, on reigning in Italy. Now, with that being said, my truce is up with Rome, and we can see his allies right there. I believe he's allied to Siena and Milan. However, I have a full 10 years to actually take Roma, which is pretty nice. We're ahead of the curve in terms of reigning in Italy. And I'm very grateful for that because we're really in rough shape here in terms of licking our wounds after the hard-fought Danish war last episode over the entire Swedish nation, funnily enough. It still blows my mind sometimes when I think about that. With that being said, I turn my army maintenance down here, and it actually took about, it's about half of this episode, guys, which is obviously sped up to around double speed. To actually recover, I think, before we even go to war with the Pope. But this gives me the opportunity to talk about a few things, and one of which is my diplomacy. You can see if you look closely, I'm allied to Castile, Poland, and I would like to be allied to England, but we did have a dishonorable call. Lucky for me, it's strategically valuable for him to ally us. He's still friendly, I believe, and I am able to re-ally him once the given time has passed. So that's very nice. But with that being said, I also have the union over Hungary and Bohemia, as well as the vassal of Sweden. So those are our diplo relations, and part of the reason I talk about this is because I have done this run, the early game here, multiple times, and I highly recommend, guys, that you babysit your subjects. For example, Hungary may have unrest issues, but also that it's important that you babysit your potential subjects. I'm worrying about popping my P's there. I felt like there was a pop, but regardless, I'm talking about the potential union over Castile, Aragon, and Naples. Now, at some point, I see pretender rebels spawn inside of Naples, and they actually own his capital. I don't recall exactly when it is, but I did actually destroy those pretender rebels because if they were successful, they will defect from Castile, and we will actually lose the union that we would acquire when we personal union Castile. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, the same goes for Lithuania. I can't even remember, guys, quite frankly, to be honest with you, if it is this playthrough. I don't think it is, but I have done this multiple times, and in one of my playthroughs, Lithuania was really suffering there. I'm able to ally England, thank goodness. That goes to show you how long we were at war with the Danes there, guys. I think 5 years or something. With that being said, I did babysit the heck out of Lithuania, getting access through our ally Poland and getting access into Lithuania and actually fighting the rebels for him for this exact same reason. I do ultimately plan to personal union the PLC, and I don't want those Russian miners defecting off from Lithuania. So definitely keep that in mind. I don't want to hear people talking about, oh, poor me, some of the nations defected, unless you're doing your best to babysit that all of those European countries that you ultimately want to inherit. Now, also, I want to mention that if we look at the state of the empire, you can see that obviously we're going to reign in Italy. We've got plenty of time to do that. We still have 8 years to take Roma. And if we look at the state of the empire here, unfortunately I cannot go into the tab, but all of Italy is inside the empire. We've released quite a few princes there, including Pisa, Parma, and Aquileia, and so on. And the only province in the north, which is unconquered core of the empire, of course, is Holstein. Keeping that around there for the Imperial Band CB against the Danes in order to steal Norway in the future. Now you can see here that the Pope did end up allying Milan, so we have to deal with him after issuing this war. I'm a little bit happy with the fact that he does have some allies because, of course, we need to steal their cash here as my financial situation. We're in bad shape. Oh, I just realized we're not allied to England, so I must have misspoke earlier. I just saw that green tick over the alliance. I suggest that he does want an alliance, but we've got that meantime to where we cannot ally him because we had a dishonorable call. Regardless, you briefly saw it there if you were watching, that in the lowland region, guys, Burgundy has suffered some losses. So he's actually lost, I think it's both Brabant and Holland. He's actually lost the union over it. Now, obviously, from the get-go, I had the ambition to do this as the Empire, keep our capital in Vienna, and actually pull it off without even trying to get their Burgundian inheritance. With that being said, I had a big smile on my face when the Burgundians lost their union, because the Empire is in better shape, and it's going to make the war against him, the upcoming war, that much easier. You can see here that our imperial authority is getting quite high. When I open the tab like that, you guys can actually gauge the situation in terms of how many reforms we have passed and so on. But yeah, like I said in the previous episode, the Burgundians are an issue. They're definitely a threat to us, and especially if you're war-ravaged, you've been up to a lot, your manpower is low, and your financial situation is not good. Very often you can call in England, for example. In my case, that's looking pretty grim because my favors are diminishing here as we're no longer allying him. And the English are very well known to being a bit derpy. Even if they do help us out, very often they're just going to deliver their troops at the kind of capacity of their transport ships. And often it's going to be behind fortification that you cannot reach to reinforce them, and very often they're going to have their troops stack wiped, really demoralizing them given enough time, and they're going to basically be what we call in the industry a potato. They're going to go full potato, and often you'll be very disappointed because they can often be one of the more powerful nations, but yet not help you out all that much. And so for that reason, I'm quite happy that Burgundy has lost two of his unions, and of course they are the two inside of the Empire. So feeling good about that for the future war. Now I just wanted to say here, because this is pretty self-explanatory what's going on, that I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy about this game and how it has gone so far. We have encountered some hardships in the current year with my economy and so on. You can see there that my inflation is up to about 9. Now, I do have confidence that given time, as Austria, you get the inflation reduction. We can take the inflation reduction from the Pope, which we're going to begin to really obtain a lot of papal influence here. Now that after this war, the Pope is going to be re-released and he's not going to have negative relations with us, we can max our relations with him and actually get some of that papal influence going, also from the clergy as well. And I'm actually going for religious ideas, which gives you the loyalty to the clergy, i.e. papal influence. So we're really going to begin to have some papal influence going, which allows us to reduce our inflation. And I do personally often prioritize the inflation reduction advisor. I'm not too worried about the financial situation here, and it's definitely manageable. Now, you just saw that Danzig added his land to the Empire, which is absolutely excellent because it actually gives other nations in the Balkan region the opportunity to add their land. But moreover, I'm feeling happy about the fact that Sweden, I think during that one war, guys, we effectively released Danzig by having the rebels be successful. But last episode, when I declared war on Denmark, he had Gotland. So we actually raised his war exhaustion, etc., to such an extent that Gotland or Swedish rebels spawned in Gotland, and that actually defected throughout the war, thus increasing my the size of my subject even more, and I can now add all of the Swedish provinces to the Empire without worrying about that. Again, just to reiterate, that is a concern that you guys should have and have to take care of in some manner, that you do want to add the Scandinavian provinces to the Empire. Now, I think that I was at war with Ferrara here as well. Ferrara here. No, it was just Milan, who actually owned Modena, and I was able to release them as an independent nation here in Italy. So that is nice. Certainly nice. I just wanted to say, guys, that the way that I look at things is that we have to hit up Venice, right? And we have to hit up central Italy from the papacy. And that's going to involve 2 wars. We can just see the Teutonic Order. They're joining the Empire. That's very nice. Adding land. My authority is getting high here. So 2 wars with Venice and 3 wars with the Pope, right? We've done all of that. And, of course, we also want to get the unions with Bohemia and Hungary. So the way I look at it is kind of like 4 things, or, 2 from Venice, 1 from Bohemia, 1 from Hungary. I'm thinking about wars, and 3 from the Pope. Now, in between that, you're going to look to take care of other tasks, right? Such as the stealing Sweden. So I'm feeling like we're really good on track, and I'm happy with how things are going. Burgundy has diminished to a size to where when we next take care of him, he's going to have no more land inside the empire. I'm confident that if we 100% him with the imperial ban, we can actually release everything that he has. So we essentially have taken care of him as well. He was definitely helped out indirectly. But I want you guys to have the same mindset, right? Think about the tasks that you want to achieve, and just knock them out one at a time. Whatever is, have some foresight, thinking about ahead of time which ones you want to actually do. Like after this war with Italy, I'm going to go in against Hungary, etc. But the same process should continue here. This is what I'm trying to describe. So once we've reigned in Italy, where are we going to look at or focus our efforts? Where are we going to focus our efforts? Obviously, Burgundy is going to be next. So the way that I think about it is the French region. Now, if their inheritance was to happen, that's a good thing, right, overall, because it just makes your life easier. But with that being said, France is going to be emboldened. So in my game, and in a game where you don't get the inheritance happen, at this stage, you're going to be looking at the French region, and then you're going to be looking at the Ottomans. The Ottomans have to be undermined in some manner, and the best time to do that is if they have not gone to war with the Mamelukes yet. They typically will defeat the Mamelukes still. That is how things go. But as many of you know, the Mamelukes are now more powerful, and they are going to serve as more of a distraction. Now, in my game here, you can see that if you're paying attention down there in the east side, you can see that they have taken a big chunk of land from the Mamelukes, but the Mamelukes are still going to behave as a kind of distraction. And very often, I like to declare war on the Ottoman Empire when he has gone to war, preferably soon recently gone to war against the Mamelukes. And that at the very least is going to mean that many of his troops are way over there, not ready to defend the Balkan side. So my attitude now, look at that, Emperor dies, and we're actually overkilling it here in Imperial authority. So what can you do? Feels bad, man. But passing the second reform there, which feels pretty good. Feeling pretty good about that. So I'm thinking about French region, guys, then Balkan region, then back to the French region, right? Now, returning the Rome here, this is what you guys want to do if you're not aware. Once you take Rome, don't even bother coring it up. You're going to get an event very quickly, which is going to ask you to reinstate Rome, or suffer a massive penalty if you don't do that. Naturally, we're reinstating Rome after reigning in Italy, and now it is part of the empire. But definitely focus or make sure to pay attention to Avignon over in southern France, and make sure that the Pope doesn't now have his capital outside of the empire, because he will actually have unlawful territory, being Rome, if you do return it to him. Yeah, so it doesn't stop here, guys. We've got a long way to go in order to set up this glorious game. After thinking about northern Italy, Bohemia, Hungary, central Italy, Scandinavia, we're now thinking about France, Balkans, and then back to France, punishing them and setting us up for a nice, prosperous future where we can dominate the entirety of Europe and the world. Thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed.